Do you find yourself feeling stuck, unable to move forward because you feel like you're always in survival mode? You're always preparing for the worst case scenario, just in case? This is one of the challenges of the Open Spleen Center, and this is what we're talking about today. Hello and welcome to Life on Your Terms. I'm your host, Suzanne Arjona, and for the past few weeks, we've been talking about addressing stress and burnout through the lens of human design, as we lead up to the free 2-day program, Burnout to Balance, which begins next week, May 27th. I'm so excited, but I'll talk more about that later. Today, we're talking about those feelings of fear that surround the Open Spleen Center, how they affect us, and how we can flip that around to enjoy the gifts of the open spleen. I'm Suzanne Arjona, and this is Life on Your Terms, where we'll explore how to follow your heart, take control of your life, and live it on your terms. So, a certain level of fear keeps us safe, but we can get caught up in a trauma response, and that fear can then paralyze us. When healthy, the spleen center is designed to alert us to in-the-moment dangers. And our fear in that moment causes us to act and stay safe. However, many of our fears are not rooted in the-moment threats. They're projections of the past or the future, and they're not real in the moment. But they bring on the fear, and this fear can paralyze us. Now, what this looks like is a feeling of being stuck because you're too busy preparing for the worst case scenario. You're on the alert to fix every potential problem before it happens, either because of what you've experienced or heard about from the past, or what you anticipate might happen in the future. Now, this can be based on your own feelings or on the feelings being projected onto you by others' fears and experiences. Your open spleen is taking this all in. So let's talk about other people's fears. Your open spleen, just like all of your other open centers that we've talked about, is taking in information from everything and everyone around you. While this gives you a ton of information to work with, the challenge is staying aware and alert to those feelings that are yours versus those that belong to other people, and learning how to keep those two separate, okay? Now, next I want to talk a little bit about hanging on to things that aren't healthy because they feel comfortable or safe. It's kind of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. This is about staying in a comfort zone, even if it's not healthy, due to a fear of the unknown or a projected fear of what we think may or may not happen. Okay, this can mean staying in a job that no longer serves you, or even one that goes against your morals. It could mean staying in a toxic relationship. It could mean holding on to a family tradition that only brings bitterness or resentment because everyone just feels forced to participate now. It's no longer a joyous event. Even something as simple as continuing to attend a weekly book club meeting that you're no longer interested in, but you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Okay. Some of the other ways fear may show up for you with an undefined spleen are, for example, the fear of not knowing enough. This is part of that survival instinct. The fear of the future or fear of the past repeating again. Holding on to things longer than is healthy. Feeling responsible for everyone's well-being. Okay, this is where you're taking on more responsibility than is actually yours. And the fear of being judged or fear of failure. Okay, so these are all legitimate fears. These are things that happen to us that, we process through our feeling centers. But what we need to figure out is when they're actually ours to act on and when they're not. Okay? So how do we reframe these feelings? How do we flip them around and see the gifts of the Open Spleen Center? Well, when you have clear boundaries and are clear on what's yours and what's coming in from someone else, your intuition is a great gift, especially if you're in the healing field as like a therapist or an energy worker or a bodywork practitioner. Okay? You can take in all of the beauty that surrounds you. That openness doesn't just attract the fear and anxious feelings, it also attracts all the positive rainbows and unicorns as well. Also, being impulsive is not one of the gifts of the open spleen. You need to lean into your strategy and authority hard when you're faced with decisions, okay? Whether it's a decision about a job to take or a person to be with or a life direction, stick to your strategy and authority, okay? There's too much going on if you have an open spleen and, really trying to sift through all of that. What's mine? What's not mine? What do I need to deal with? If you stick with your strategy and authority, that'll help guide you through all of that mess. Now, as with experiencing the gifts of all of our open centers, we need to live in response rather than reaction. And this means slowing down. It means studying the gifts of our open centers so that we become so comfortable with the gifts that they become our first response instead of reacting to the fears. Okay, when you embrace the gifts of your design, you begin to respond to life with the gifts and your optimal expression of your design rather than the challenges and the unbalanced expression. Okay, now I'll be going deeper into these themes and how you can understand these stressors and how these stressors show up in your life in the Burnout to Balance program that I mentioned previously. It's coming up next week, starting on May 27th. This is a free 2-day program, and it's not too late to sign up. It will be recorded if you can't make it live, but in order to gain access to those recordings, you still need to register, okay? The link to sign up is in the show notes, or you can go to SuzanneArjona.com and click on Burnout to Balance in the menu. And if you're listening to this program at a later date, you can hop on my mailing list and get updates for when I run this program again. Okay, I will be running it again at least one more time this year. You can do that on my website as well, and that link is also in the show notes. Now, once again, I would like to end today with a special favor. This show has been growing, and that is thanks to all of you who are sharing this with your friends, and I appreciate every single one of you. Please keep sharing. If you're listening to this on a platform that allows comments or feedback, like Substack or Apple Podcasts, your support there is greatly appreciated. Your comments and ratings help this show get seen by more people, and that would really help me grow the community even further. So thank you again for tuning in this week, and I'll see you in the next episode.